So we are now halfway through the race events of this game, and we now have 2 of our 5 Suzuka 8-hour exclusive bikes. And now, I think it's time for me to switch over to one of the 600cc bikes, since I figure that's what we are doing next. In other words, we are doing the Super Sports 600, which is our first 5-race championship, and I know just the bike I want to use for this. And that will be this. Because since I have not ridden a Kawasaki for a while, I might as well ride the Kawasaki Ninja for the next one. I might be a bit overpowered, I might be underpowered, or whatever it is that I don't normally say. But that's what we're using next for event number 12 in our race events. And so begins the second half of the race events, starting here with the Super Sports 600. And these are the eligible bikes. We can use any one of these: the Honda CBR 600, the Yamaha YZF R6, the Suzuki GSX-R 600, the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R, which is precisely what I'm using, and the Triumph Daytona 650. A bike which I will probably win at some point later on. And the tracks we're going to are Tsukuba Circuit, Autumn Ring, Deep Forest, Midfield Raceway, and ending off with 5 laps at Grand Valley. So, I reckon this is probably going to take me about an hour to get through these 5 races, and then after that we can move on to the Superbike 1000, an event which I can assure you I am going to try and make more competitive, and pretty much fun for all the family here. So we've got the Triumph Daytona, the Honda CBR 600, and the Yamaha YZF R6. And let's begin with 5 laps around Tsukuba Circuit. I keep getting the 2 muddled for some reason, don't ask why. Anyway. Yep, this bike is definitely faster than the ones I've been riding recently. I guess that's just one thing I'm gonna have to get used to as we go along. But either way, I chose the Kawasaki because, well, I have not ridden a Kawasaki for a while now, and I figured this was a good time for me to do so. Because why not? And heading down the backstretch into the corner at about 141, and looking for an entry past the Honda. I clear him from the inside, off the exit of the final corner, and through the first hairpin we go, and I'm slowly closing in on the Triumph up front. I'm also going to have to get used to not over-revving on the downshifts, which is what I seem to be doing a lot of at the moment. But either way, I'd say we're doing okay. And I can definitely say this bike appears to be the fastest of the bunch, because of just how quickly I'm closing in on the Triumph. And up the inside, doing so with very little pressure whatsoever. so the gap is now 8/10 to the Triumph Daytona. And it looks like I'm more or less going to pull away with this one, because that's pretty much how easy I feel like these championship events have more or less been so far. I don't think I have any disadvantages here, from what I can tell. And it's fair to say I'm definitely using the fastest bike here, because of just how easily I am pulling away from the Triumph now. And I overshot turn 1. Well, considering just how close I was to the edge on so many occasions up to this point, it was only a matter of time before that happened again. Oh, don't make it a double. Fuck my ass. I knew that was gonna happen. I was very much seeing myself on the edge of that double-edged sword. And it was only a matter of time before the sword was going to make me die. But anyway, 3.3 seconds is now the gap to the Triumph Daytona, and that's probably because I crashed twice on that lap. But I don't think it really matters, because I still have the fastest bike here nonetheless. And it looks like this is more or less going to be another easy win for me in terms of knowing just how dominant I think I will probably be in the last race once we get down to it. So 6.8 seconds is now the gap to the Triumph. And through the final corner once again, trying to see if I can set a new best lap time, and I do. I set it by just under 4/10. So the Triumph finishes second, Honda third, and it's the Yamaha that comes home fourth. Is he going to make it? Just. He only just made it before the fade. So those are your points after one race. Still have plenty more races to go, of course. And starting this pretty much the way I expected to start this. So there we go. Our first race is down. And have we got any recent replayers at Tsukuba? Just whilst I'm looking. And no, we don't. We don't have any recent replays at Tsukuba. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna save the replay here, just because I reckon this will probably be the most competitive race of the bunch, which I have now done, and still won pretty easily because, well, I just have that much bigger of an advantage in terms of the fucking cornering speeds compared to the AI. That's partly the reason why I've just been so dominant up to this point. But anyway, on to race 2 at Autumn Ring. So, here we go. 5 laps around Autumn Ring. Let's see if we can once again pull this off. And up the inside of the Yamaha, and we seem to be doing alright for ourselves. I reckon this is probably going to be at a similar pace to what we had at Tsukuba in terms of our overall pace, but you know what? I'd say we're okay for now, because I'm just continuing to set the pace, and that's more or less what I need to be doing, without doing that too many times. Yeah, I still have no idea how the rear tyre can lock up and give me just literally a snap of oversteer off the corner. Oh shit, it's done it again. Okay, I need to stop doing whatever the fuck it was I did in those 2 consecutive corners. I need to stop locking up the rear tyre, because that's pretty much happened twice now, and on both occasions I have wrecked. I need to make sure I don't do that again. If I'm still going to be in contention for the win here, then that's one thing I absolutely must avoid doing again. Although it hasn't really affected me that much, because still I roam onwards to close up to the leader and pass him up the inside. Didn't really bother to upshift there because I was into the corner already. And this time I hold my ground, instead of locking up the rear tyre like I did before. Well, twice before. So I think it's fair to say you do need to give this bike some steering camber if you're really going to be there to avoid those rear tyre lockups, which, under the circumstances, I've made myself a victim of twice. Where I basically have given it too much brakes on the rear tyre, and as a result that's what, in essence, caused the bike itself to lock up on the rear tyre twice. Which is partly the reason why I went down twice. But either way, it's pretty much no harm no foul, because I still went on to take over the lead from the Triumph anyway, and it looks like that's going to continue. Okay. Yeah, just because I'm leading, it does not mean that I have to continue flexing with the bike when I don't need to. I just need to make sure that I hold on. So 6.6 seconds. It's fair to say this will be pretty much an easy win for me at this stage, as long as I don't wreck myself too many times. So, we continue to press on. And we still have another 3 races to go after this one. And so we move onwards. Oh, I went a little bit deep there, and I got caught out by that curb, but still able to hold on. And so, we are pretty much going on an absolute tear compared to the AI at the moment. As in, I'm just continually pulling away. And 9.2 seconds is now the gap. So, we continue to move on. So this is the final lap of Race 2 here at Autumn Ring. And 10.6 seconds the gap, and I went too deep. Was kind of waiting to see how long it would be before that happened again, but still able to at least keep a hold of the race lead with an advantage. It's pretty clear to say the Kawasaki Ninja is no doubt the best bike to use for this one. Although I'm pretty convinced in saying that I probably could have won using any bike, but that was eligible for this championship, but nonetheless, I chose this one because, well, I have to keep it up for the sake of parity. And that's precisely what I do. And the Triumph is the only one of everyone else that finishes. I'm not surprised. Anyway, 2 wins to me, and 2 seconds to the Triumph with 2/3 to the Honda. I doubt that's going to change. Anyway, there we go. Already an 8-point advantage. So I'm pretty sure if I continue my winning ways, I will no doubt have this championship clinched a race early. So, on now to race number 3. At Deep Forest. Let's go. Our third race of the Supersports 600. And then I think once I'm done with this event, I will probably consider switching my riding gear, because I've not done that for a while. And also because, well, we're now into the second half of the game. So I figure, why the fuck me? So I figure, why the hell not? As I would have figured, I fall off the bike early on. But there's still plenty of time for me to make up. And I just belted it through the corner there. Basically, I just sent it in a corner where I know I shouldn't normally send it, but when you do manage to send it in the right way as I just did, you can gain basically a shitload of time as a result. And can I keep my bike under control? No, I don't. I almost did, but I don't manage to do it this time. I wouldn't be surprised if, because of all the mistakes I've made so far, this is actually where my streak comes to an end. The way things are currently going. Because I'm pretty sure I've now wrecked myself at least twice. And that's probably not going to be the last time either. Haha! I do not go too low this time, because I wrestle it back up. And whatever comments I made before, they've pretty much been extinguished now. As I now lead by nearly 0.6 of a second. Yeah, that was always going to happen. Yeah, this race has been pretty clumsy from me so far, because of just how many times I've been in disagreement with the Kawasaki. It's fair to say we are not on the same page at the moment, and that's partly the reason why I have been wrecking so much. But either way, I am still managing to at least keep myself in contention. And that's more or less where I guess you could say I want to be. Because, why not? So, onto the backstretch now, and heading through the tunnels, and I went too fast. Well, I always knew that one bit of stretch was gonna catch me out eventually. I got away with it once before, but it's pretty clear to say this game was not... Can I please stop racking? It would be really nice if I could just stop. It would be really nice right now if I could just stop playing the fucking fool all the time and actually concentrate on riding the bike rather than just constantly crashing myself. Which at this time is kind of what I'm more or less using my best of efforts to do at this time. As in, I'm basically just giving off... I'm basically just giving off my best of impressions right now to just more or less do everything in my power to somehow not win this race the way things are currently going. But either way, I am somehow keeping myself in the forefront. And I actually take that straight away the way I was supposed to. And now I am 4.6 seconds up on... Or I was 4.6 seconds up on the Triumph. It's pretty clear to say that me and this bike right now, we definitely have ourselves a very hateful relationship at this place, considering the amount of times I've already crashed at this point. Because I've probably crashed at least 6 times already. And I feel like that's going to increase before this day is done. It's probably been one of the worst championship races I've run in this game so far. And it would be really nice if I could stop doing that. Because sooner or later, these types of mistakes, they will bite me. If I don't manage to somehow scrub off the mistakes right at the end and actually make sure to stay in control of the bike this time. And fortunately that time I actually managed to save it. Still, This race altogether from me, it was pretty pathetic when you consider just how many times I crashed. But nonetheless, I still managed to win, and that's all that matters. By 4 seconds over the Triumph, 6 seconds over the Honda, and 8 seconds over the Yamaha. So for once, the competition managed to finish before the point standings. Although, I can definitely say that felt like an undeserving win, because of how many times I wrecked, but just because the AI basically have nothing on me in terms of cornering speed, that's probably the main reason why I still managed to win against all the odds. As in, they basically just have no smoke on me in the corners. And that's what ultimately prompted me into winning the race somehow. In spite of my best of efforts to continually lose it. But anyway, there we go. 3 races down, and now we just need probably another 6 points, and then basically this will be another championship that is well and truly mine, because that is what I do so well. And so we continue. So 5.5 seconds is the gap to the leader. I of course stepped on the brakes early because I know how unstable this bike can get at high speeds, and just with, well, 600cc bikes in general, they usually tend to be quite unstable. And up into second through the chicane as we head through this left-hander, and up through the S-bend of death once again, as I so frequently call it, because of how many times it has caught me out. And up the end of the front stretch, hitting 182 before braking hard for the corner, and steadily closing in on the Triumph. I'm going to make sure I time this, and also making sure that I give my opponent racing room, because I like to show that. Because, well, discipline exists for a reason. And through the final corner we go. It looks like it's going to be pretty much another easy win the way things are currently going. I've very much been the kingpin when it comes to championships. And now we are 3.5 seconds ahead of the Triumph. And we're looking like we are on our way once again. To scoring yet another easy win. And so we continue. As I am now 7 seconds clear. Sorry. Wait, hold on. 6 seconds clear of the Triumph. And very much nearing top speed as I head down that backstretch, and 7.5 seconds is now the gap, so because midfield technically does have a smoother track surface than Deep Forest, it's fair to say that I have to deal with a lot less bumps than I do at Deep Forest. Which is partly the reason why I fell off the bike so many times in the previous race. Because Deep Forest, it is a very bumpy track surface on a bike. You don't really feel that sort of thing when you're driving a car, but on a bike, it's fair to say it definitely knows how to showcase the issues to you if you feel like at some point you either will or won't hit them, but right now, I'm having no such issues here. And it looks like I'm going to continue to pull away from the competition. Because that is what I do. As I now have a 10.7 second gap up front. And right now, we are doing okay. So 12 seconds is now the gap, so I would assume it's going to be at least 15 seconds by the time we get to the end. As long as I don't crash. And 13 seconds is now the gap, so looks like we're going to be okay here. A little bit of a bounce there on the front stretch, but still able to come away with an easy win. So 4 wins out of 5, now we just have to go and get the 5th one. Is the Triumph going to finish? Only just. He only just made it to the line. He was 15 seconds behind. So those are your points after 4 races. 40 points to me, 24 points to the Triumph, 16 points to the Honda, and 12 points to the Yamaha. That's pretty much what I was expecting. Anyway, there we go. So, 4 races down, and now we just have 1 race to go. And just before we move on, I want to check and see that I have a replay saved. Yes, I do. And so, we now move on to the 5th and final race of Supersports 600. And then our next event will be the Superbike 1000. So, let's go to Grand Valley Speedway for what will surely be another easy win for me, because I am clearly using the best all-around bike in terms of pace and everything else. So, yeah. And through the hairpin we go, as we're now getting through this next series of corners. And up to this point, I think we're doing pretty well. As I shoot up the inside. Probably should have upshifted there, but doesn't matter. I still get through the corner nonetheless. And 1.6 seconds is the gap to the Triumph. I have no doubts in saying I'll be able to clear him before the end of the second lap. Got on the brakes as soon as I touched the grass because I had to. And up to this point, we're doing okay. And so, we go on now to dominate yet another race. Because that is what I so often do. Because I can. And I almost fall straight for colliding with the inside armcos. But I only flirt with disaster. I do not cause disaster. And that's partly the reason why this is technically going so well at the moment. Here at Grand Valley. So I continue to push on. And so we move on. Because I can. So 6.5 seconds is now the gap. And it looks like that's gonna continue to get bigger as we go further and further along. And almost slipping into the abyss. But just able to stay out of the abyss. And I'll be amazed if anyone else finishes this race. Aside from me. Before we move on to the points. Because guess who is absolutely stonking the field once again? The answer, by the way, is me. Or at least I was up to that point. But anyway, proving to you once again just how easy it is to pull away from the opposition. If all the pieces fall into place. And that's what I'm hoping to do again. If possible. Because I can do that. And I almost came into contact there with the outside fence. But able to, once again, avoid disaster. 10.6 seconds is now the gap to the Triumph. I'm still convinced in saying that gap is going to get wider, as long as I don't continually crash. It will continue to get wider. And this time I set a new top speed record down the front stretch. My previous record was 187 miles an hour, and now I've gone one better by increasing that top speed to 188, which definitely feels like a new record. I'm convinced in saying that with enough tuning, this bike potentially could go all the way to 200 if I really felt audacious enough to give that a go, but at this time, I don't really think I need to, because I'm just continually pulling away from the competition, and it looks more or less like this is going to be another one of those typical Sunday rides for me because of just how far ahead I am of the opposition. If you were expecting exciting racing to come from these championships, then unfortunately, well, you're in the wrong place. But if you came here to see just how easy it is to score a clean sweep in a lot of these championships, then you are very much in the right place. And not quite a sub 2 minute time, and that's not going to happen. I knew that sooner or later that first hairpin was going to catch me out one way or another. I think it was just a simple matter of when it was going to do that. And it almost does it to me again. But I just managed to hold on. So it doesn't look like I'm going to set a sub 2 minute time, because I've already wrecked at least once or twice now, and that's going to make it pretty much a second, but not quite, because I stayed on the bike this time. And up to this point, I gotta say, superbikes are actually pretty hard to control, man, if you're wanting my opinion. And I think this bike definitely shows that, in every sense of the word, over just how tricky it really is to just stay in control of the bike at certain points during a race. And so far so good. Or it was before that happened. Anyway, we continue to press on with our domination, and nowhere has this been more apparent than Grand Valley. In spite of all the wrecks, I still come away with another crushing victory. And I think that's very much a statement win, if you ask me, because this has definitely become one of those cases where it really does feel like, for want of a better phrase, I have just been on top of the world from start to finish. And that pretty much proves it. So 50 points to me, 30 points to the Triumph, 20 points to the Honda, and 15 points to the Yamaha. And there we go, another championship is ours. And also sweeped as well, I might add. So, just going to check one more time to make sure that I have a replay saved. Yes, I do. And now, we just have 10 more events to go, plus the bonus event that will be coming up after the TT World Series. Something which I will go into further detail with by the time we unlock the event, and also once we've got the credits as well. So, once again, we get new riding gear, 2 more helmets, and as a result of us winning the championship, we get the CBR 1000 RR among our Suzuka 8-hour exclusive bikes that we have now won, as we get the Moriwaki Motul Tiger Racing CBR 1000 RR Suzuka 8-hour, and we also get the Moriwaki Motul Tiger Racing Matsudo 8-hour racing suit, which is now added to our riding gear as well. And as a result of us winning the championship, we obtain yet another number 1, which I'm not going to put on the bike because, well, we still have another 10 events to go in terms of our remaining events. And our next one will be the Superbike 1000, where we can use any one of these bikes. And I might have an idea over which bike it is I want to use for that as well. Anyway, there we go. Another championship is won, and now let's go and check out our next bike, which is this, the Moriwaki Motul Tiger Racing CBR 1000 RR Suzuka 8-hour. I honestly find it surprising to say that the headlight for this thing is literally in the center. But either way, there it is. And now, that will do it. So we were 70.6% heading into this next one. And I think just before we move on, I'm going to switch over to a bike I haven't used yet. And you know what I'm going to use for this? I'm going to switch over to the Aprilia for our next event. I'll have to make sure to edit that out. Anyway. So our next event will be the Superbike 1000. And I think for that, I'm going to use a bike I have not used yet. And that will be this. The Aprilia RSV 1000R Factory Racing Modifier. Before our next event. And we are now 73.9% complete with the game. So we have gained a total of 3.6% of progress. and nearly 10% of progress, I think, since we started this. Although I will have to check. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to check and see how much progress we've made altogether today. And yes, we have. We have made up what is equivalent to 9.7% of progress. Well, yeah, that's right, I think. So altogether, with the 3 championship events we have now done, we have made up 9.8% of progress. And we now have our 3rd Suzuka 8-hour exclusive bike. As a result of us now winning championship number 12, or race event number 12 I should say. Anyway, we're now up to nearly 75%, and by the time we're done with the Superbike 1000, we will be at 75%. So, next time on Tourist Trophy, Superbike 1000.